Hi, my name is Natalie DeLeon, and I'm going to be talking to you all today about the SDAIE strategy of choral response. So choral response is a really effective tool to use in the classroom when you're trying to get your students all engaged and comfortable participating in the class. So choral response is useful when the teacher wants to practice information that is very important and similar, so it has to be the same. This works by the teacher having a cue that she has already taught the students. It can be an arrow or something auditory like a bell, and then she can provide the students with the time to think and answer. So now I'll review how it works. Choral response works by first prompting the students, so giving them the cue, and then you give them the appropriate wait time. The wait time is very important because the students need time to think about what they have learned so that they can apply it and answer together in unison. This is especially important for our English language learners in the classroom because they have a more difficult time translating the information before they say it out loud, so they need this extra wait time. And then lastly, depending on how your students answer, you can take that and see whether you need to reteach. So it's essentially checking for understanding. If your students answer incorrectly and it's not in unison, you know you need to review those concepts more closely. So choral response is used to get your students on task. If your students are messing around or talking to one another and you need them to sort of refocus, you can use choral response. Also, like I've mentioned many times, it's very important to give your students the wait time before you expect them to answer so that they can answer correctly. In addition to this, it also gives the students an opportunity to practice using their academic language. This is more effective than you as the teacher going on and using the academic language because they can practice it themselves. Also, it's effective in teaching them terms and concepts because they themselves are having to repeat this information. So, choral response is a SDAIE strategy that is helpful for English language learners because they can feel safe and comfortable and don't feel put on the spot in front of their classmates. Also, if you have students, English language learners that are struggling readers and have a difficult time saying certain words, they can take this opportunity to learn from the other students and practice their language. So their peers are acting as models for them and they're getting the opportunity to practice their language in the class but without being put on the spot. So in addition to having students read out short phrases and short answers, choral response can also be used in another way called choral reading. Choral reading can be done in small groups or with the class as a whole. So if you're doing it with the class as a whole, you can put a passage on the board, cue your students, and have them read it together. But it's important as an instructor to make sure that your students are reading within their zone of proximal development. This means that students need to be reading something that is a little bit beyond their level right now. So you don't want one student reading something too easy for them or one student reading way above their reading level. For this reason, it is important too to put them in small groups. That way you can group them accordingly and give them the appropriate reading material. Another point that is important with choral reading and choral response is to make sure that each of your students are engaged in the activities. So the instructor should be walking around and making sure that each student is participating, because if they're not, this strategy is ineffective. So now I've talked about choral response and choral reading and how you can use it in your classroom. Thank you.